to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. Today I wanted to talk about the catalyst that is emotions that thrusts us towards change, how feelings move us towards change. This morning's meeting, I I slept in. And I don't like sleeping in. Like I'm laying there and I'm like, I don't want to get up. I just want to sleep in. But yet I'm sitting there going, I should go to my meeting. I should go to my meeting. My day is not going to be the same without my meeting. Autumn, that's enough. That's enough. She's trying to make her spot cozy on the bed. So she's like pulling and pushing and digging on the comforter. And she needs to be snapped out of it sometimes. So she just laid down. Sorry, I just told the world about your habits. So I slept in, so I showed up about a half an hour late. And then what I got was that we were talking about the vulnerabilities and the fear that is correlated with working some of the steps, particularly step 5, where we confide really in another person about our resentments and our fears and our role in our relationships. And but what I heard in the meeting that really stood out to me, and I couldn't think of anything else after that. You know how like sometimes you just hear something that you've heard a million times and then you're just like, what? Like it's an epiphany. And that's what I had today about how every change requires some sort of emotional um ignition. It's like anytime that I want to make a change, there is some sort of feeling that makes it happen. And whether it's pain, joy, shame, just simply inspiration or guilt, fear, embarrassment, excitement, like change requires some kind of motion. And not every action requires any motion. I think I said motion. I meant emotion. Not every action requires any emotion, but when we have an emotion that is igniting change, some sort of action, it usually creates change. So why is it that logic isn't enough? You know, like I knew that alcohol was killing me because even in my most drunkest state, I looked in the mirror and I said, "You're already dead. You're dying." And yet I went to detox and I ended up drinking again a couple months later. Like, why is logic not enough for change? I had to get desperate. I had to um, be in a state of absolute desperation in order to make a change, like a profound change in my life. Just having the information that was fed to me in detox wasn't enough to change my behavior. Like I knew what the solution was, so why didn't I do it? Like we can know better, but still not do better. It is emotion that really clicks that switch that turns the awareness into action. During my early stroke recovery, it's the same. It's the same. It's always the same. when I was recording. There's a period of time where I was recording my podcast from my closet. And I was only doing, I don't know, because I was comfortable in there. Who knows? If it's bizarre, don't listen to those episodes. But I was trying to get comfortable, like where do I want to record and stuff like that. And I thought, who cares? So I recorded from my closet because I felt like I could say whatever I needed in there. I felt, I don't know, safe in there. I have no idea. But I was recording from my closet. And I remember being in there talking about the pain, talking about my fears and my sadness about how my life changed after my stroke. And I wasn't willing to admit it for like 2 years. I knew that using my computer, seeing things move, driving, I knew that it was causing me pain, but I didn't want to make a change. I needed to finally get to the point of desperation. I was, it's not that I didn't feel emotions, but the emotions that I felt were towards keeping things status quo. Like I felt fear of losing more of myself um, if I surrendered. And I felt that way when I quit drinking. I was afraid, like I was already losing so much that I was afraid that if I if I lost more, if I stopped drinking, I would lose more of myself. And so both of these experiences were my emotions, my fear was keeping the status quo. But then enter this other emotion, right? That I've talked about it so many times. There's also a period of time where I talked about the complexity of the emotions, complexity of being human and how we can feel different things at the same time, how we can be happy and sad at the same time. We are gifted with the ability to face many emotions at the same time. And that's, I think, when I needed professional help. And that's when these emotions started colliding within me, I needed to seek help. And when I needed to stop drinking, I had this fear that was colliding with all these other emotions, this desperation. It was like two different fears. I was afraid of how changing more of me if I quit drinking. And I had the fear of if I kept drinking, I was going to die. I was afraid no matter which way I looked. And I was uncomfortable with the idea of quitting, yet I felt guilty that I needed to quit. Was, I knew I wasn't being honest with the people around me. And although nobody really said much to me while I was drinking, I did find out about it later. So I had emotions of shame and guilt. And then, like I said, this fear that I knew that there was something at stake and it was my life. Um, but I had this fear of changing who I was that paralyzed me. And when I lost my job or when I had to make the decision to shut my computer, like that's it. I can't do this anymore. Um, I spent quite some time just paralyzed by the fear. And but now I know that that was courage to do it anyway. And it was desperation. It always for me seems to come down to desperation. Um, but there are also, embarrassment that makes us change. I can't believe I did that. I'm never going to do that again, right? That's the igniting a change, inspiration, starting to see what's possible. When I started to record my podcast, I became inspired. Like I started to receive feedback from other people that I was helping them change too. And that gave me more inspiration for forward motion, forward emotion, and excitement. Like that's the emotion of hope, and it's a reward. So that's what keeps me coming back. What I shared this morning was, yeah, it's an emotion that starts the change, but it has to be a consistent emotion in order to get me to keep coming back and keep building the emotion, the momentum. So, excitement is like a reward emotion. I want to feel that over and over again, kind of like the drinking. I want to keep doing it over and over again. So, the hope becomes, it replaces it. For me, hope started to replace that obsession to drink. So, turning the emotion into action is like just acknowledging that it's there, acknowledging what you're feeling, giving it a name. Like that's so important to me because we feel so many complex emotions. That's why I'm really an advocate for professional help, because it forces us to put words to what we're feeling. And it helps me pause for an hour a week with a professional and recognize what I'm feeling and that feeling translate that feeling into what can I do about it? What is this emotion asking me to do? And can I do it? Gosh, there's so many steps that are a part of just simple emotions that we feel. We feel them, but how often do we name them and figure out like what is it telling me? Am I afraid? What do I need to do? Like guilt is what make helps me make amends. Fear helps me to like step forward and do the thing that makes me scared. And inspiration is when we share our experience, strength, and hope to help other people. So it's but again, I mean, that's the theme of this week is being present. Like it's a daily choice to stay emotionally awake. That's what emotional sobriety is. Um, letting that feeling surface, but not letting it consume me. Letting it surface to the point where I can acknowledge it and name it, but it's not taking over and making me feel like I've got to do something about it. I've got to make it go away. I've got to make the feeling go away. And the only way that I can do that is not through immediate gratification of drinking, but instead I have to work on emotional maintenance. And the way I do that is journaling what I'm thinking during my AA meetings in the morning. I journal what I'm thinking like through pretty much everything, like all my support group meetings, my psychiatrist appointments. I have my little remarkable tablet and I write down, what does this mean to me? What's happening around me right now? What does it mean to me? And that helps me once I start talking about it in my podcast, I'm giving it a name. So I'm building community connection and I'm doing a lot of reflection. So I think every transformation that I have encountered in my life certainly starts with emotion, but it seems to start even more with complex emotions that are fighting against each other. And I start getting confused. Like when I start feeling something deeply, then I know from through my steps in my program that there's something that needs to happen. I need to take some sort of action. And the only way that I can do that is if I pause and I do a little self-reflection. But I can allow those feelings, whether it's good or bad, fear, guilt, sadness, excitement, inspiration, to be a spark for something that's about to change in my life. So, um, I want my emotions to feed, to empower me, because so long in my life, they paralyzed me and they shut me down. Like emotions don't have to be obstacles if we can leverage them for change instead and look at them like they are an invitation to begin something, you know? So that's what I have today. And I'm making some soup. I'm making bean and bacon soup. And I'm hoping that it's not boiling over. I started to smell bacon halfway through, even though I already cooked the bacon. Maybe it's just wafting into this room, but I was like, I hope my pan is not boiling over. I don't think so. I'm sure it's just perfect in there in the other room. So I thought I would just record while I'm making my soup. And yeah, victory, victory. So I'm ending again. You know what I should have ended right when I said it's an invitation. Emotions are an invitation to begin something new. And then I should have stopped there. But then I start running my mouth and then I back myself into a corner. Have you ever done that? I used to do that when I'm still running my mouth. I used to do that when I worked. Whenever I was in a room with an executive, I would have something powerful to say, and then I would keep running my mouth, and then I look like an idiot. That's what I felt like. Anyway, I am who I am. I think that's what Popeye said. I have to look that up because I heard that yesterday. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.